Hey, what's up, y'all? Welcome to episode 203 of This is the G Podcast. Yes. You know how we do it. Man, I'm Tommy B. Each week we do news, politics, pop culture, that piping out to you from the one and only Tonya B. Talib Shabazz joins me, man. This week we'll discuss, man, the obituaries of the rich and famous. We lost a lot of famous people this week. The Dogs, man, fall short of that three-peat. And Lenny Kravitz throwing shade at the Source and BET. Just mind-blowing, but we'll talk about it. Tonya B has your tea, and I watched Eddie Murphy's Candy Cane Lane this week, and I'll give you my thoughts. Let's get it started with news from Syracuse. Mike, what you got, man?
News team, assemble!
It's time for the Week in News with Syracuse Mike.
After a very long process to select a jury, opening statements started Monday in the Young Thug trial. The Grammy-winning rapper is accused of leading a criminal street gang involved in murder and a bunch of other violent crimes in Atlanta. Singer Jean Knight, best known for her huge hit Mr. Big Stuff, has died. She was 80 years old. Tuesday, a memorial service was held in Atlanta for Mrs. Carter. President Biden and Dr. Jill Biden also attended along with other dignitaries, including all of the former First Ladies and former President Bill Clinton. The Carter family was headed by former President Jimmy Carter in a wheelchair with a blanket covering his legs. It included an image of his wife. During the hour-long service, their daughter, Amy Lynn Carter, fought back tears as she read from a letter her father wrote to his wife in 1948 while he was serving in the military. Former First Lady Rosalyn Carter was laid to rest Wednesday near her home in Plains following a private funeral service for family and close friends. Her husband, Jimmy Carter, was at the service. The 99-year-old former president is noticeably frail, but did not want to miss his wife's services on Tuesday and Wednesday. The Carter's pastor, Reverend Tony Loudon, delivered the eulogy. He is now former Congressman George Santos after this vote.
On this vote, the yeas are 311. The nays are 114, with 2 recorded as present.
That's House Speaker Mike Johnson. 105 Republicans voted to kick Santos out, and 112 voted not to. Some Republicans had argued to save him, not because he was also a Republican, they claim, but because he has not been formally convicted. Only 2 House members have been expelled in modern times, and both were first convicted of crimes before their expulsion. Following the news that former Secretary of State Henry Kissinger has died comes another major passing, with the death of the first woman to serve on the Supreme Court. Sandra Day O'Connor died Friday morning in Phoenix, Arizona. She was 93. O'Connor has been out of the public eye for years following her announcement in October of 2018 that she had been diagnosed with dementia. Her time on the High Court was significant. She played a critical role on some of the most contentious issues, including affirmative action and abortion. The fighting has resumed between Israel and Hamas. Israel blamed Hamas for violating the truce by launching a rocket from Gaza. Israel's defense systems intercepted the rocket. About 30 minutes after the truce expired, the Israeli military said its fighter jets were striking Hamas targets located in the Gaza Strip.
Thanks, Mike, for the headlines, man. The NewsMaker Crew is here. He is in the building. Y'all give it up for the one and only Talib Shabazz.
What's going on?
Yes, joining us for episode 203, man. Talib, welcome, man. It's crazy, man. The headlines, it's like one big obituary, man. You've got, Rosalyn Carter, First Lady, Jean Knight, Mr. Big Stuff. The worst headline I've ever seen for a dead man, Henry Kissinger. The Rolling Stone magazine said Henry Kissinger, war criminal, beloved by America's ruling class, finally dies. That's like the damn official.
I mean, dude, what is it? The good die young, but the bad stick around, or something, whatever the expression is.
A century, yes.
Dude.
That's the worst headline I've ever seen. But he was a polarizing figure for the Vietnam War, for Chile,
Cambodia,
so much. So much. You know what I'm saying? So Sandra Day O'Connor, George Santos' congressional career, and as we tape, UGA's three-peat hopes.
All up in smoke. It's in
Gone
smoke.
up in smoke. I was going to call, because Vi's coming back. He's got his technical stuff worked out and all his visits and all his tours he's been doing.
Vi.
So Vi's supposed to be coming back in a few weeks, man. But I was going to call Vi, but I'm not going to do it. I'm not.
I'm sure he'd prefer this.
Because, I'd have been on his ass. Let me say this. And I don't want to rub it in, but I told them that I didn't think UGA was going to three-peat this year.
I mean, it's difficult, man.
I said it on the podcast where we kicked off the sports podcast at the beginning of the year. I said it was going to be difficult, man. And I'm not, going to pat myself on the back too much.
Right.
But, I hate to say I told you so, but, we'll see. We'll see how this thing turns out, because as we tape, the game is over. They played at Mercedes-Benz Stadium, and basically Alabama won 27-24, and they are the SEC champs. And now it's up to the committee to choose which teams will go to the playoffs. And it's going to be interesting because, and I'll say this, and I don't know if you follow college sports, but the big thing for me is, I think because the SEC has won so damn much over the last 15, 20 years that they don't want the SEC. I think they want the SEC to not be in it this year so that someone else can win. Pac-12, Big Ten. I think they want another conference to win the championship because it's been dominated by the SEC teams.
Yes.
So, I think, how long can you have like Alabama, Georgia, these small southern states winning from a TV ratings? And does that make sense to you?
Totally.
Because, ain't nobody in New York getting love. Pennsylvania, Michigan.
Rarely. Ohio.
Ohio State's done. The West Coast is done. I think they want to spread the love, I think. So, we'll see how they choose. It's going to be interesting to see how they choose. You got a thought before we leave?
Really, it's all in the recruitment. It's all in the money that's being spent. I mean, unfortunately, these smaller conferences can't necessarily match what the SEC spends. So right. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see if some of these other conferences can muster the talent, like you said, to be able to compete where people with what the SEC has. But I mean, this SEC is dominant.
Oh man, I mean, I think 14 out of 17 the last 17 years. That's crazy.
Right.
But I will say this: as we tape, apparently they're going to be making on Sunday. Of course, we release the podcast Sunday at 6, so there may be an idea of what the final teams or who the final teams will be. But as we tape, we don't know yet. But it'll be interesting because the big talk is that with Alabama winning and being low ranked throughout the season and Georgia being so high ranked, that if Georgia doesn't make the Final Four, then Alabama won't. Then the SEC will not make it at all, which would be for not to have an SEC team for so many years. It's going to be interesting to see how that works out. But we'll see. We'll see. The other thing I want to mention, and I'll have a link. Harold Michael Harvey did a great article on the Young Thug trial, and I don't want to go into it too deeply on the podcast, but I will say, Jeffrey, is that his name?
Yep. Yeah.
He is yawning through the proceedings. So one thing they say, he's not getting enough sleep. The other thing is his weight. He's gained a lot of weight over the period of being in jail because his meal, what he's eating, he's just eating a bunch of chocolate and chips, is what they say. And I mean, it's a bunch of junk food.
I mean, that's prison. That's prison life.
That's what I'm saying.
You get some ramen noodles and some Doritos and you mash them together and you got dinner. Yeah, but that's not that's definitely not nutritious.
Yeah, so they're making. I think they're making a push. His attorneys, his folks around him are attempting to make a push to help with that, so that he can be more focused during the trial, because they think his nutrition and his sleeping is affecting his ability to stay focused. So we'll see.
Wow.
And I'll let Tonya B talk about the Diddy trial. I mean, I'm ahead of myself.
Right.
The Diddy fiasco and the I guess the things that are popping up. Not really much more we can talk about outside of what happened with Cassie. But what do you have? I got one big thing I want to talk about. But let's go to you. I'll go to you first, and I'll come back to my big thing.
You mean in terms of this Diddy thing, or in terms?
No, just overall.
My one take away for the week.
Big take for the week. Yeah, because I know it relates to what we just heard in the news.
Yeah.
So go for it. I'm gonna let you go for that.
Well, I had two. Two. Okay. One was the this whole George Santos thing. Can we get? I wish next time we need a sample of "Na Na Na," "Hey Hey Hey" for all of these Republicans that are just falling by the wayside.
Yeah.
But I mean, that whole thing is just incredible. The fact that this man can lie like he does, can spend money that he should not be spending on stuff he shouldn't be spending it on, and think that this is all cool and this is all part of it is just insanity to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And
then to see, I know you had mentioned earlier that vote, the vote in the House. It's like, I mean, I understand he's not been convicted of any crime, and the last two people who were expelled from the House had been convicted of crimes before they were expelled. However, do we have to wait?
Yeah, I know.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Look, the man. It's yes, this is true. This has happened. So why are we entertaining?
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
That was my one thing. But my second thing, comes back to the good state of Florida. I know everybody rides Florida for all the craziness that goes on in that state. And unfortunately, I've got one more for you.
Oh, Lord.
A Florida woman stabs her boyfriend in the eye with a rabies needle.
Oh, my God.
Because he was looking at other women. Yeah.
Was it DeSantis?
No, it should have. I wish it was. No, a woman by the name of Sandra Jimenez, who was in an argument with her boyfriend about him looking at other women. Apparently, they have a dog that has gotten rabies, and they were given needles by the doctor, for medicine.
Wow.
And he stabbed him in the eye because she accused him of looking at other chicks.
That is crazy. That is crazy.
I don't need that kind of love in my life.
No. No. That's crazy.
You know what I mean? Nuts. It's like, man, Florida, what's going on down there, man?
And not to mention, you had the this week, man, which I just thought was a waste of time. And they had it here in Alpharetta, the debate between DeSantos and the governor of California.
Yeah,
I just thought that was a waste of time, money.
What is the point?
No point.
Is Newsom even running for anything?
Yeah, no, he's, what's his name? Gavin Newsom. The governor of California. Newsom just decided he wanted to. And, he did tear DeSantos out the frame, but DeSantos is pretty much gone. I mean, Nikki Haley, if you haven't already heard, picked up some big money. I mean,
picked up the Koch brothers. Yeah.
Yes, KOCH, them boys got the money. They're the ones who have pretty much funded the Republican Party for years, and they gave Trump the money last time, but they don't think Trump is a viable candidate this year. So they moved this huge, massive amount of money to Nikki Haley, and it's a big win for her. Yeah. So we'll see how that goes. Hey, now, I got one big thing, and I do want to get your insight because you part of your music business, your career has been in the music business, and I think you can answer this and give me some insight. This was right around the time that I started my career on a larger scale. Of course, Lenny Kravitz is out. He did an interview with Inquirer No, what is this?
No, it's
Esquire.
Esquire magazine.
Yeah. He did an interview with Esquire, and basically he's questioning why he hasn't received more attention from Black media. He says despite his Grammy and other accolades, he doesn't get love from Black media. He told Esquire, and this I quote, I got a lot of negativity thrown at me by all these older white men who weren't going to let me have that position. And the position he was referring to was like the savior of rock and roll, because of course rock and roll, this was right around, I know, when he hit 1991 with the song It Ain't Over Till It's Over. He was also doing, this new phase of rock, and rock was kind of falling off. So, he was looked at as this new savior, and a lot of white guys were giving him, some grief on that.
Right.
But he also notes it took him 10 years to make a who's who list on Vibe magazine. And he's never been celebrated by BET or Source. He says, and I quote, to this day, I've not been invited to a BET thing, a Source Awards thing. And it's like, here's a Black artist who has reintroduced many Black art forms, who has broken down barriers, just like those who came before him broke down.
Right.
And he says that's positive, and they don't have anything to say about it. Now, let me say this, man. It bothers me when a lot of these artists do what I call revisionist history.
Right.
Because back in the day, I was a music director in 1991. I remember because we played the song in the city in Atlanta. Yeah. It Ain't Over Till It's Over. It was a medium, kind of a medium. It did okay.
Right.
It featured the Earth, Wind, and Fire horns, the Phoenix horns. And, a lot of people loved it. It was soulful. But that's pretty much all he did that was geared toward the audience, just from a standpoint of sound. Everything else, for the most part, was intended for the rock audience. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
Okay. But my thing, it goes two ways. Okay. If he needs to complain, he needs to be complaining to his management. One. Right. And he also needs to complain to his label, because if you feel like you're not getting the love after all these years, or you didn't get the love back then, all you had to do was speak up.
Yeah.
And my thing is, what it says to me is you just didn't speak up strong enough. You didn't say, hey, I'm Black. We knew he was the son of Roxy Roker from the Jeffersons. Okay. We knew he was married to Lisa Bonet. But I think part of the responsibility was his. All he had to do was go to the label and say, hey, you know what? I'm not on press tours. I'm not on media junkets. I want to go to Black radio. I want to be on the air and talk to morning shows just like these other guys. Show me the effort. And so from my standpoint, I get the frustration he feels, but I think part of the frustration is his own fault. And I go back to you on that.
Okay, so let me ask you this, Tommy. As a music director, if you got a call from Lenny Kravitz's people at that time, saying, "Hey, we see that you've played, I Belong to You," or whatever song it was.
It ain't over till it's over.
It ain't over. Can you, we'd like to just set up an interview with you, sometime. This is not a label thing. This is management, and we want to say hey to people that support. Would you have gone for it?
Oh, absolutely, because I also worked with the morning show, because here's the relevance. Because the song, if you remember, it was rumored to be written about Lisa Bonet, because he and Lisa Bonet had broken up at the time.
Right.
So the whole song was "It Ain't Over Till It's Over." So everybody was like, "Ooh, damn, he's trying to get back up in there."
Right.
But Lisa Bonet had gone. I think this was like post Cosby. She's doing Angel Heart, Mickey Rourke, and all the craziness. But my whole point is, it's like we would have embraced him if there was somewhat of an outreach from his side.
Exactly.
And he was hot because the song the song was number 10 R&B singles. Okay.
Right.
It was number 2 Hot 100. That song was his biggest charting single, even though he did Are You Gonna Go My Way and other songs. This was his biggest hit.
Yeah. So, but that brings me to my point is that, you could sit here and complain that black media has not given you your props, but black people have been giving you your props since the day you came out. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, I can't tell you how many copies of Lenny Kravitz albums I've moved. Number 1, especially, and then also number 5.
Wait a minute, repeat that. What did you just say? How many?
I said I can't tell you how many albums I've actually moved of Lenny Kravitz's. Yes, number 1, the number 1 album, Let Love Rule, did huge numbers for me as a retailer.
Yeah, you were a retailer.
But also, number 5, the album that he had called Number 5, which was I Belong to You, and there were a couple of American Women, I believe, was on that one. I mean, these were albums that were big in the black community. So my question really is, are you mad at black media for not giving you your props? Is that something to cause you concern? Or do you put more importance on black people loving and supporting your music, which has always been the case? I mean, black media, you have to pay. Media, you got to pay for. Somebody's got to pay for it.
Well, you have to. You have to embrace it. Your people you got to work it. Let me ask you.
Right. Okay.
You had artists coming through your stores all the time. Your store.
Yeah. Right.
Was there ever an opportunity where they called you?
Sometimes, yes.
No, Lenny.
Oh, no, Lenny. No, Lenny and his people never called me. And wait a minute.
And that was Warner. Am I correct?
Yes.
Warner Brothers.
Yes, It was. And Lenny Kravitz was also hanging at DARP Studios, which was 10 minutes from Earwax.
Wow.
So again, you said there's no outreach. I have to agree. My thing is that, and you're complaining about it 20 years later, which doesn't make any sense to me. Yeah. Look, man, if you really wanted to do something, you were Lenny Kravitz. Who's going to deny you?
Yeah.
Who's not going to want a photo op? Who's not going to want an interview? Who's not going to want the kind of juice that sitting and talking with Lenny Kravitz would provide for them and their audience? Yeah. So what is he? I could again. I'm not saying that there isn't cases where media shuns people. Yeah. It does. They have their favorites, and they tend to go with whatever the trends are. But at the same time, you want to, at this point, you want to bring that up like it's a news story.
Yeah. Again, revisionist history.
I gotta give you my what's the guy from the old white guy from the Eddie Coming to America? You know what I mean? It's like you get that Eddie Murphy Jew guy playing a Jewish man face. You know what I mean?
I know what you're saying. But see, my point. Let me give you another an example. Okay. And I don't think the general public understands, because you understand because you did retail too. Okay, I did radio. I mean, you did radio too. You did radio retail. But my point is, it's like, okay, let me give you a prime example of how it works for those who may not be clear. When Lisa Stansfield had a huge record, been around the world, right. Okay, we were the first. Black radio broke that record. Yes. The clubs, the streets, before it became a pop hit. It was a black record.
Right.
Okay. Lisa Stansfield comes to town. Okay. They set up media for Lisa Stansfield. Mm-hmm. Okay. This is after black radio has supported her. Black radio's given her first, but when she comes to town, guess where she goes first? To pop. Mm. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Same thing with Whitney Houston. When Whitney Houston was big, she was getting all the love from black radio, from black media. Mm-hmm. And then first time they hit, when she's this huge pop success. When they come in, guess where she goes first?
Yeah, pop radio.
So my point is, you don't beat up black, because first of all, black media is set up to support black artists for a reason.
Right.
Because that's the only place in a lot of cases they're going to get played.
Yes.
Or they're going to get the exposure. Think about Michael Jackson before Thriller. MTV wouldn't play Michael Jackson. Rick James got into that heated battle with Bob Pittman at MTV for not playing his video.
Right.
I mean, when Rick James was a big pop success, and MTV,
baby and all that.
They would not play. They would not play. The only place where Rick James was being played was on BET, and of course, Video Soul.
Yeah,
that's it.
Right.
So I think a lot of these guys are miseducated.
Mm-hmm.
They don't understand why black media is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's ignorant to have that type of conversation in 2023.
Especially with somebody who's been in the entertainment business for almost 40 years. You know what
yes.
I mean, okay, 30 years, whatever, 90 to 2023, that's 32 years, 33 years. You should know.
And you know what? And think about it, dude. Why are you calling out the source? Source, man. Source the shit.
Source doesn't even do anything. Source hasn't done anything in 10 years.
Right, but the source isn't even that kind of genre. You know what I'm saying? I've never been called for a Source award. Shit, the Source was hip hop. Source, what the hell? Source want to have Lenny Kravitz.
But again, Lenny has done enough with rappers, with in terms of hanging out and being seen, and
he probably knows them all. He probably knows them all.
So that's what I'm saying. So yo, man, if you wanted to do anything, be anywhere, whatever, who's not going to welcome you?
Yeah, but you know what, Talib, and I'm going to say this. If anything, he should be pissed off at his management. Yeah. And he needs to be pissed off at his label.
Yeah.
Because this could have been corrected when he was hot.
Right.
He could have, the same way, like Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson really doesn't have to refer to himself as black or put himself in the black bucket. Mm-hmm. But you know what? He always does.
Yeah.
He never lets people forget, hey, I'm black.
Yeah.
He shows up at the black award shows. He shows up. He makes it. Whether or not he's, he just did, Byron Allen just did the Griot Award.
Okay.
It was on CBS as we, over the holidays, over Thanksgiving.
I missed that.
He was there.
Wow.
The Rock. I mean, shit. Oh, I was amazed. I mean, but see, you didn't hear Byron Allen and PR. It's just not his thing. They don't do press right. But anyway, my point is, every black representative of culture was in the building. Right. I bet he wasn't in the building. But whose fault is that?
And I mean, who's not going to want Lenny Kravitz at their award show?
But you know what? Whose fault is that?
It's a lot of people's fault. But
no, it's his fault.
Right, exactly. A lot of his people's fault.
Because you know what? I'm going to go back way, way, way back. It's just like Sammy Davis Jr., okay? Sammy Davis caught heat for being part of that Rat Pack. Right. He caught heat, right?
Yeah.
But toward the end of his career, he made an effort to do things in the black community because he didn't want to go out like that.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So maybe it's time for Lenny to say, you know what? I need to do more in the black community from my standpoint, on my side, to show I don't want to go out like that.
I would hope so.
So I mean, shit, dude, look in the mirror. Throw a little Michael Jackson in there. There you go.
Yeah.
All right, y'all. Talib, you got any final thoughts, man, before we wrap?
Nah, man, that's it. Just want to say what's up to everybody that's come out to support the Earwax exhibit that's going on in town for the 50 years of hip hop. We just got extended.
Oh, good stuff.
So, we're running until January 7th now. So, if you're
Can you tell people exactly where? Tell people exactly where.
It's at the Science Gallery of Emory, which is at the Pullman Yards on the east side here in Atlanta, Georgia. It's called You Don't Got This. It's 50 years of hip hop from the perspective of a record store. So it's a dope exhibit. It's a dope exhibit. And
hey, if you have it, man, send me a link.
Yeah, for sure.
So I can put it on this week's podcast notes.
Okay. Yeah,
I'll make sure because now that it's been extended into January, it's a great thing to go check out before the holiday season's over.
Indeed.
Especially you got family coming to town, you can show them some Atlanta history. So good stuff. Good stuff. We'd love your thoughts. Go to castropolis.net. Lenny, you go to castropolis.net.
Yeah, we'll have you on the show, Lenny. Come on.
Hey, Lenny, come on, bro.
Hey, black media.
Like I'm saying, we're blacker than black, y'all. Leave us a voicemail, man. And Lenny, leave us a voicemail, man. I'll play it back. I know some of his people gonna get it out there. I know you know him. I know you know him.
You know me. You don't owe me.
But big thanks to Talib Shabazz, man. Thank you for adjusting your schedule, man. So that I could get the outcome of the UGA. Hey, I'm sorry. Hey, I'm sorry, Bob. I'm sorry, dog.
Right. Come on, Bob. We need you back so you can defend yourself, man.
I'm gonna be depressed for about a week. And Howard, and my boy Howard, they both depressed because they picked the 3P. Talib Shabazz, y'all give it up one more time. Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Let's go ahead and take a break, and we'll come back with Tonya B and the T. Appreciate you, man.
Peace.
More. This is the G Podcast. After the break.
Now then, children, it's time for tea.
It's tea time, y'all. Sipping the tea with Tonya B.
That's right, children. It's time for tea. It's your girl, Tonya B. So let's just get right to it. Okay, Tommy B. All right, now I gotta say this. Those of us of a certain age remember a song called Mr. Big Stuff. Not the one by Heavy D and the Boys, but this was the origin of Heavy D and the Boys, Mr. Big Stuff, by a singer. Her name was Jean Knight. She had one of the biggest hits of the entire decade of the 70s. Recently lost her at the young age of 80 years old, and that song was so big. And she is considered a one-hit wonder, but that was a huge song. It went R&B, it went pop, it went everywhere. She never had a follow-up hit, never had another record, but she will be missed, and that song was something else. Now, in the Divorce Chronicles, let's talk about Jeannie Mai and Jeezy. Now, she's saying he cheated. He said she cheated. She's trying to get that part of her prenuptial agreement with Jeezy exposed so she'll get a bigger bag. And what they got to remember, they have kids involved. Don't be dumb donkeys. The Christmas movie Candy Cane Lane with Eddie Murphy and Tracy Ellis Ross is now streaming on Amazon Prime, and inquiring minds want to know if this grandfather and father of 10 is married to the woman who had baby number 9 and number 10. Can't keep up with Eddie and all them kids. But at the Griot Awards last week, he said, I want to thank my wife for letting me out of the house, which is not true because we all know that Eddie Murphy is a hermit, Tommy B. Word on the street that Jamie Foxx is not really well. His friends are concerned about his health struggles and that he did those videos with the body double, allegedly. That's just my opinion. Just to get people off his back and to show Hollywood he was still not a liability due to the health. Now, I don't know. He had to pull out of hosting a family game show called We Are Family with his daughter Corinne. So inquiring minds want to know, and all I can say is time will tell. Yes, it will. Will Smith has been making the rounds. He's been out in public again, but here comes Jada flapping her gums, and I told her to go over there and sit in the corner with R. Kelly, Neo, Nick Cannon, and the rest of them. She's saying that she and Will never break up. Was she trying to wait for him to to check out so she can go take the bag. I'm just saying, I don't make the news, I just report the news. Tommy B. And did you know that the embattled and mostly forgotten actor Jussie Smollett, well, he may be going back to where? To jail, because he lost his appeal in the Illinois State Court. And so that whole mess he did, that stunt he pulled, it will follow him forever because his career is over. All right, the Puffy Chronicles, just real quickly, never a dull moment. New lawsuits, Macy's dropped Sean John. Head of security and other bad boy gatekeepers are speaking up. Actor Columbus Short said he is snitching in the kitchen and talking about how Puffy tried to pull up on him at 2 o'clock in the morning. Puffy's not selling records. There's a woman named Dee Gilmore who wrote a book called The Night Puff Tried to Kill Me. Well, she getting her 15 minutes of fame, and she getting her $15 because she had a book party that was sold out. And according to Page 6, 50 Cent is behind producing a documentary called Surviving Diddy. Anyway, I'm just saying, Tiffany Haddish, girl, please stop making jokes about getting back-to-back DUIs and go to rehab and get some help. It's not funny. She clearly has some unresolved trauma there, Tommy B. And she went from being that girl to, oh no, we don't want that girl. And trauma, Common broke up with her. You know, she's on a downward spiral. Just pray for her. Alicia Keys is diversifying her income streams like most artists should do. She's got the skincare line, the line of teas, and now she is the brains behind a new production called Hell's Kitchen, based on her life. Where else? In Hell's Kitchen. Oh, Lord, Jonathan Majors, another one whose career is about to go the way of about to go the way of Tiffany Haddish and Jussie Smollett. Well, he was in court this week with a Bible in one hand and his boo thing Megan Good in the other. That's right. She showed up to get her paycheck, allegedly. But I wonder if this is the end of the road for these two. And here's why I say this, Tommy B. She went on social media and said they were not together over the Thanksgiving weekend holiday. She says she's dealing with some heavy trauma and that she now knows her worth. Just now, girl? Really? Did the money run out, or did she see the light and decide to get out? Run, Megan, run! Tommy B, I gotta tell you something. Don't forget, for those of you that I love documentaries, like you love your horror movies. Well, Thriller at 40. The story of Michael Jackson's historic album Thriller is on Showtime. I saw an advanced copy, and all I can say is, you better call the fire department, because, oh my goodness, it was amazing. And I hear there's enough footage left for a Thriller at 40 Part 2, and I am here for that. Let me ask you this, Tommy B. Since Ice Cube cannot make any more Fridays movies because of all of that legal whatever you kerfuffle with the studios, he's now looking to turn Fridays, the film series, into a stage play. Who's gonna play Smokey? Who's gonna play Debo? And what I want to know is who's gonna play Bye Felicia. That's all I got. I ain't got no more. It's your girl Tonya B. Don't forget to check us out each and every day. This is the G Podcast on YouTube each and every Sunday, 6 p.m. And don't forget the Byrdwire on Castropolis.net on demand, not 24/7 but 25/8.
What you watching this week, Tommy B?
Imagine a holiday movie with Eddie Murphy, Tracy Ellis Ross, Chris Redd from SNL, Robin Thede from Black Lady Sketch Show, DC Youngfly, and a reunion with David Alan Grier, all directed by Reginald Hudlin from Boomerang, under the banner of Amazon's MGM Studio. Wow, sounds like a recipe for Christmas cheer, right? Unfortunately, Candy Cane Lane feels like a fruitcake of a concept, weighed down by a harebrained script. The potential is undeniable, but the execution just falls short. Fortunately, the cast shines through the mess. Eddie Murphy and his talented co-stars inject enough comedic energy to keep the film afloat. Their charisma and comedic timing are the saving grace of this otherwise kind of forgettable film. While Candy Cane Lane boasts a star-studded cast, it just doesn't hold a candle to Netflix's Jingle Jangle, which has become a beloved holiday tradition. Candy Cane Lane lacks the magic and the charm that makes Jingle Jangle a must-watch every year. Candy Cane Lane won't go down as Eddie Murphy's best, nor will it be remembered as a classic Christmas movie. It's not quite as bad as Norbit. Nope, it's not an Norbit, but it doesn't capture the magic of Nutty Professor or Shrek. It's average Eddie at best. Let me know what you're watching. Go to Castropolis.net and hit the people poll. As always, y'all, big thanks to Syracuse Mike, Tonya B, Vi, Talib, author and political analyst Harold Michael Harvey. Definitely go out and get the book. The book is out. Go to haroldmichaelharvey.com. Thanks to the crew, Millennial Nick, Lady J, Regia, music by K-Dub, all those who help us make it happen every single week. Don't forget, man, every Sunday, 6 p.m., you can stream us first. Links are on social media, at our bio. Castropolis.net is the easy way. Share us with friends, y'all. Don't cost you nothing, absolutely nothing. And the big takeaway, the big PSA for the week, y'all, Lenny Kravitz, artists like Lenny, you know, it's not enough to be celebrated for your accomplishments. It's not enough to be celebrated for your craft. Ask yourself how much you gave back and celebrated the Black community. Not now when you peaked, but back then when you were on top. Just think about it. Appreciate you all for supporting the show week to week. Don't forget to subscribe, turn on notifications, check us out during your holiday travels, share us with family and friends on the road. And with that, episode 203 is in the can. Have a great week, y'all. Peace and power to the people.